everyone. Welcome back to a new episode of Tech This Week. My name is Apulak. Hope all of you are keeping well. So today we're diving into a question, at least that's been running in my mind. I don't know whether this is occurred to you. Uh, the question is, why hasn't China, despite being the number one manufacturing company in the world, managed to dominate the global automobile manufacturing industry? Before we jump in, and I know where you'll be coming at, just hear me out. Yeah. Because have you ever wondered why, when you think of cars, it's always been either Japanese, German, sometimes Korean, and American cars that come to your mind, and never a Chinese brand. Yes, and now I know what you'll be thinking because nowadays you've heard a lot about BYD. Yeah? Yes, BYD is making all the headlines. It is kind of becoming synonymous with China's EV industry. But to be honest, in the traditional sense, China has never really been associated with automobile manufacturing. Doesn't it surprise you? Well, when you think of manufacturing, like they say, everything that can be manufactured under sun is manufactured in China, and they're the number one manufacturer of everything literally, except for automobiles, right? Uh, so, question is, why has China not dominated the automobile space in this world, right? But to I think answer this, because see, like I said, if the question was to me, and I'm sharing this with you, I thought of trying to unravel the mystery behind it, as I say, right? So the question that probably I ask myself is automobile manufacturing fundamentally different from traditional manufacturing? I think that is a very important question that needs to be answered because somewhere when I did my research, building cars is the same as just mass producing, say, phones or gadgets. In industries like electronics, you can scale up fast and replicate designs. But making cars, is a different ballgame altogether. Automobile manufacturing demands precision, engineering experience, and decades of experience. In fact, when you think of brands like Toyota, BMW, Hyundai, just to name a few, spent years mastering their craft. It wasn't an overnight success story, right? But somewhere again, even if I say this, I'm personally still not convinced. Because the real question still remains unanswered. What has been holding China back all these years? I think if you ask me, there's more to the story than just engineering and design, as one would like to understand and believe. So if you closely look at it, one of the biggest hurdles that China has had uh, so far is how the auto industry is structured. When foreign car makers like Volkswagen and Toyota first entered, and I'll take you back to a little bit of history lesson as far as the China automobile business goes. So we take a step back, we go a few years back. So as far as automobiles in China go, like I said, auto majors like Volkswagen and Toyota, when they entered China, they were forced into JVs with local Chinese companies, pretty much like what we have in India. The idea was simple: bring in foreign tech expertise, and eventually the local companies would stand on their own. But in reality, did it happen? The answer is no. Instead of competing head to head with global giants, Chinese automakers started becoming dependent on their foreign counterparts. So they never really pushed the boundaries, as I say, to innovate on their own because their foreign counterparts were doing most of the heavy lifting usually. So in my opinion, it created a sense of complacency within the China's car industry. They weren't pushed to develop the cutting edge technology which is required to compete at a global level as far as the automobile business goes. So while we speculate on these missed opportunities, here's the real kicker, right? Was all of this part of a grand master plan? I mean, are we still missing out a very important element? Because we know China has ambitions to dominate every industry possible. So why wouldn't they have seen this coming? Wouldn't they have planned for a way to leapfrog this competition? And As it looks like, and if you see how their automobile story is emerging now, they did exactly that. While the world focused on traditional combustion engine cars, China was quietly positioning itself to dominate the future of transportation, which is electric vehicles. Does it ring a bell? See how the story is unfolding. This was probably part of a long-term strategy. China knew it would be hard to dominate the traditional car market, so they focused on being the first mover in the EV space. And let's face it, the traditional automobile industry is built on decades of reputation, but the EV industry is new for everyone, right? So this is where China saw its opening, right? And why do I call this a long-term strategy? Because this did not happen by accident, or this did not happen overnight. China has been pushing for EV dominance since 2009 with massive subsidies, tax breaks, and government mandates. Today, as a result of all of this, the results have shown two-thirds of all EVs sold globally last year were sold in China. That's over 6.88 billion vehicles in a single year, cementing China as the world's largest EV market. China also controls over 70% of the world's production capacity for key EV components like, cathodes and anodes, essential for battery production. And as you know, for an EV, the battery is literally the lifeline of the car. Previously, in fact, as far as the US and the European markets go, they did not pay a lot of attention to EVs, but now they are realizing that China has this dominance over this entire supply chain. We're not just talking about automobile brands, but the entire supply chain. So let me in fact present to you an interesting statistic that will take you. Probably not, but I know there are a lot of Tesla fans out here. As per the latest data, BYD announced a record, Q2 sales, which was close to 1 million EVs. If you want the exact number, it was 9,86,720, which is almost double of Tesla's quarter two, and their actually numbers stood at 4,43,956, right? And this is not because, and one might think, oh, BYD is a Chinese product, it's much cheaper, right? I don't think it was just about BYD being cheaper. Probably it's a tad bit cheaper, but they've simply mastered the product and gone in for a competitive market position. So you can always go and back and forth of how EVs, might succeed eventually, or will they fail? But the reality is that they have already entered the auto space, and looks like China is pretty much here to stay. When Japanese cars first started, if you think of it, getting imported into the US and European market, nobody took these funny little cars seriously. And now look at how they dominate the market. I mean, Hyundai, Kia, from a Korean standpoint, were cars only for people who could not afford anything better. They were so awful, right? Now, Korean cars are compared to anything that we see, say a German car or an American car or a Japanese car for that matter. So I think the next few decades or the next few years, clearly, we'll see the emergence of the Chinese automakers. They'll be riding the crest of EV, and once they get traction, they'll be everywhere and very, very hard to beat. Lot to think on this. Have a great week ahead. Bye for now.